You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, this is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com with a monster education roller coaster with your brain. That was a lot to put in that thing. I can't believe I wrote that. The poor radio guy probably had to do that. Was just like, is this guy serious? Actually, he was really great. He was on Fiverr too. So if you ever want a good referral, the guy who makes great intros, he's one of those radio guys who's worked in radio forever. So anyway, guys, welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. Vince had some amazing guests. Be sure to watch for those. Also, be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. As you know, we're going to be talking to an amazing woman today. She's the creator of what she calls Rise Lean and the Lean Instinct Formula. We'll be talking about weight loss, how to live your best life, and your relationship with food. Many of you have a bigger relationship than you probably should have with food. And maybe it's time to break up, at least slightly. I don't know. We'll still get into that in the show. In the meantime, go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. I haven't seen many of you going over there. I want to guilt and shame a little bit here on the show. So I want to see you go over to the YouTube channel. Subscribe over there. It's free for an unlimited time. You want to get in on that deal while it's still available. Also go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Go to LinkedIn. We're doing so many things on LinkedIn. It's magical over there. There's magic happening. Magic, I say. And it's not that kind of stuff where stuff disappears. It's the stuff where things reappear. So like it's the opposite of that Copperfield guy or whatever his name is. Copper. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. It's anti-magic. Like stuff appears rather than disappears. It's kind of like money in your bank account, the opposite of money in your bank account. I don't know what the hell we're running off on today, but we do a different intro every time. So what do you want, man? You want the same old? You want something different? So go to LinkedIn. There's the audio chat that we're doing over there as well. Today, an amazing woman is on the show with us today. Leslie Chen is on the show with us. She is the founder of Rise Lean and the creator of the Lean Instinct Formula. For 8 years, she has been helping high-achieving professionals who struggle with food obsession and problematic weight patterns that help you create a blissful relationship with food while gaining the best body they can have. Her proprietary system leverages powerful wisdom from Asia and brings people to achieve food freedom and weight freedom in weeks by activating their dormant instincts. And she even has a free masterclass she's going to talk to us about. You can find out more about that as well. But in the meantime, she's here. Leslie, welcome to the show.
What I can say is pleasure.
A pleasure to have you as well. Leslie, give people your .com so people can explore that as we chatter on the interweb.
Sure. It's www.riselean.com.
There you go. And tell us a little bit about your life's journey, and kind of what got you into getting into the business you're in now.
Well, I used to be a 9-to-5 corporate job. I was in management consulting for a few years. I worked in New York City at the time. But one thing I noticed a lot is everybody, all of my colleagues and almost all of my clients was asking this question when we were having lunch. Like, let's see, you eat so much. Like you don't care about what you eat. How can you just keep fit? And, I've been in a 125 pounds body for a long time now. I don't even remember. This is from 16 years ago. So they keep asking me these questions. I kept giving them tips and advice, and they're like, well, it works for me. So I started thinking maybe it's a good idea because now in the United States, we're seeing a lot of people struggling with weight. And when I first came to the States, I was also struggling with, I gained 50 pounds. And my first semester, I was here for study here. So you can't believe it. 30 pounds gained in the first 3 months. And then doing a lot of dieting program and one after another, only to gain another 20. So it was pretty dramatic at the time. Emotional eating, binge eating as well. So I had my journey of overcoming all the stuff. And that journey actually started when I went back to China. I was 170 pounds. My mom could not recognize me when she was literally just 2 feet away from me. facing me.
Wow.
Like, she was looking at distance, anticipating my arrival, but I was right in front of her, and she didn't say anything.
Wow.
And I didn't say anything as well. But back home,
Are you sure she wasn't ignoring you? Because your moms can be mean that way sometimes.
no, she.
My mom's been ignoring me from birth. No, she hasn't.
I never had a conversation with her about whether you were actually ignoring me or. I think she might. I mean, she might be reacting as well because she saw the changes. She might be reacting her mind to think about how she should, what she should say. I mean, obviously she pretended that no differences were found. So she just, had me and we greeted each other and went home. I told myself that I was not going to diet at home because before that I was on ketogenic. Just depriving myself from all the carbohydrates, right? And I went home in China. You can't avoid that. You have rice, you have noodles, vermicelli, buns, all the stuff, right? And I told myself I'm just going to live a normal person's life in China. I did. And 1 month later, I was like 14 pounds down.
Wow.
What the heck? I was doing nothing. I was told to do in the United States. And I was eating everything, not counting calories because there's no chance for you to do that. There's no food nutrition labels. So I was doing that, just living normally for about months, 14 pounds down. And I started to think back, kind of reverse engineering thought process to find out what was happening. And then back in the States, the new semester started. I came back to the States. I just continued what I was doing. And in the following 11 months, I lost another 36 pounds.
Wow.
Steadily. So that's my personal journey. Now, when I was back in the States, the people started asking this question. I didn't really care about it that much until I went into the corporate world. And I realized it's really a big problem for a lot of professional women who care a lot about their body image, right? So I started asking the questions once again. I realized, hey, there's an opportunity. It can be an entrepreneurial idea. So that's when I started going into this field.
Awesome sauce. Losing weight is hard. And so a lot of people do come to America. I've heard that people from especially like Britain and stuff, they come here and they eat the same portions, but because of the high fructose corn syrup we have and everything here and the high trans fats and, all these, we make fatty food like really good. And like people eat the same portions I hear from other countries and they'll come here, eat the same portions and they'll gain weight because our food is just so rich with, sugar and fat. And we put fat and sugar in everything. We put fat, sugar in fat and sugar.
Right. The thing is not just about the portion size or the ingredients, Chris. This is what I found. Your natural senses, talking about your appetite, talking about your taste buds, right? How your body evaluates those flavors. These things get retrained. That was the biggest issue I had. I'll tell you example. When I first came, like the ice cream that you guys call normal was completely unacceptable. I'm not kidding you. I'm not even talking about the size.
Yeah.
This is one thing. I went for a small. They gave me a humongous one, right? That's just one thing. But I'm just talking about the level of sweet that your body will actually sense in this food. It's crazy. I could not digest and my body was not like taking them well. But after 3 months, right? Because I kind of adapted, then those unacceptably sweet becomes just normally sweet to me as well.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize it until years later, my parents came to the States and visited me. I wanted to treat them something really good. So I went to Olive Garden. At that time, that was the good food to me, right? I ordered them some dessert like sundae, like, the chocolate cake. I said, this is the welcome dinner, right?
Uh-huh. I
remember my dad tasted one bite of the chocolate cake and then he devoured 2 bottles of water. 2 bottles of water. My mom tried to go for the other thing we ordered for her, and she could not have half of it. And she begged my help. And like, oh, this is too sweet for you, right? Too sweet for us. So they never stepped into Olive Garden or any kind of like dessert store.
Wow.
Ever. to this there. So I'm just telling you, your senses get retrained. But as Americans, you don't feel it because you think that's what you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big component of the instinct I'm talking about. It's the idea is that your body is not supposed to run like this.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a toddler, right? My daughter is 2-year-old. When we first introduced her to something really sweet, she could not take it. She tried to avoid it with a iron face. She didn't like it. Then a few times later, she started accepting it. But a 2-year-old, we don't have her eat ice cream and this kind of thing. So sometimes just give you a taste of sweet just to see how you react to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that you have the natural instinct to react to food and respond to food in a normal way.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one good analogy that I like to give people over and over and over. Is like, because people, they rely on some kind of measurements or counting mechanism to make sure that they're eating, not overeating, right? So I like to tell them that. Think about when was the last time when you were breathing, you had to count the seconds of your breath. You're inhaling to make sure that you're not overly inhaling oxygen. When was the last time? Tell me. Well, last time when you're walking, you have to count the inches between your feet to make sure that the feet are not stepping on each other. You don't do that. Well,
I do, but I'm insane. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you're extraordinary. That's why. Okay?
I'm just really bored.
But the thing that eating, breathing, walking, you have the built-in mechanism to just do it. That's what our autonomous nervous system is doing, right?
Mm.
The thing is that when you interfere with it, when you would try to comply to a bunch of rules that ignore and repress how your body is supposed to feel, sense, experience food, your experience starts shifting.
Really? Wow. And so does that contribute to food addiction and different issues?
Absolutely. And food addiction is not just that. Food addiction started when you try to get onto different diets and realize that you still cannot control yourself. And there are different layers, multi-layers of negative emotions, right? In one package that you're experiencing guilt because you can't control yourself. Shame, when you're eating in public, people judge you.
Mm.
And also all the frustration just because you feel one diet after another. And because you think about calories, carbs, and food all the time, you develop this obsession, the obsessive thoughts and behaviors toward it. Over time, you are developing food obsession. And this is crazy, Chris, I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. Every woman I speak to, they spend 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day, either thinking about food or planning their meals or researching about food in terms of nutrition, calories, and also, the weight loss, whatever effect. 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 3 hours per day. Over the week, that's how many hours? Over a year. Consider what you can do, right, with that amount of time.
3 hours, that's a long time. Like, I don't spend that much time deciding what I'm going to eat from day to day. I just I don't know, I'll eat this thing. It's laying here.
Exactly. And the thing is that people never realized it. They don't even realize until I asked them, yesterday, how many hours do you think? If you think back, right? How many hours in retrospect did you spend on thinking about or any behaviors related to other than just eating your normal meals?
Is that a sign of food addiction if you're spending that much time thinking about food?
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
I don't usually think about, sometimes I have like a back thought, like I'd really like a burger, and I'm like, no, you're not doing a burger. And like, it'll haunt me for a couple of days, but I don't spend a lot of hours on it. But it's like, really want an In-N-Out burger. And I'm like, you're not getting one. Eat the salad. And I'll eat the salad.
Right.
But, after about 2 or 3 days, I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to get a burger. And I get it once, and then we're done for a while. And,
And it can be compulsive. Because it can be compulsive.
Yeah, it can.
Like over time, it becomes the programming. It becomes the dominant programming that runs you ever since you wake up in the morning. You start thinking about, what should I eat? Oh, no, actually before that, you start remembering what guilty food you ate yesterday. And you start, getting into this trance of emotions about food. And it's compulsive because you either regret about yesterday or worry about today or tomorrow. All around food.
Is that what we're doing? We're regretting what we ate yesterday when I had that In-N-Out burger, and now I got to eat that salad now. Is that?
Yeah.
The ketchup sort of mentality.
Think about somebody who is especially cautious about what she eats or what he eats, right? So I'm just giving you an example. Like when I was struggling with this problem, or when my clients are struggling with these problems, when they go to the restaurants, they don't focus on Yelp ratings in terms of do they provide delicious food. What they're really thinking about it is, what is the lowest calorie salad option I can find in the restaurant? Do they even have that option? I want to make sure I'm not eating excessive fat. I'm not eating excessive sugar or any sugar. I'm not eating excessive calories. I want to make sure that I'm not feeling guilty after the meal. But the trick is, you set all the rules for yourself. You go into a restaurant, you eat obey all the rules. You still come out with a lot of guilt. The guilt comes from not being able to just eat like a normal person. So it's guilt and guilt and guilt, no matter what.
Yeah, a lot of people think of, that it's kind of an old trope that they're like, diet, word die is in there. You're going to die if you diet. So
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's talk about your program. So you've got a program that called Lean Instinct Formula. Your company's called Rise Lean. Let's talk about, I don't want you to share the secret formula with us. So obviously the people need to work with you for that, but talk to us a little bit about how you developed that and what the overview of what that entails, if you would, please.
How I developed this, it's actually a completely reverse engineering process. I lived in China for 19 years before I came to the States. 4 years in the States, I went back to China to work for another 2 years, and then moved back to the States again. So I'm back and forth between two countries, and basically two different
food systems too.
Then I started thinking, why, like in terms of Asian people, not just Chinese. If you look at the Japanese, if you look at the Koreans, honestly, we don't even know about calories until we have the word translated from the Western countries. And example, in Chinese, we pronounce calorie as kaluli. We don't even have the word. It's basically purely phonetic transmission.
Wow.
From English, right? Same thing in Korea, same thing in Japan. So you see people eating like a lot of carbs. You don't see people counting calories. You don't see people going to the gym because most of them are really, really busy. Like Japanese work 11 hours a day.
Wow.
Chinese, the industry I was in, not shorter. Okay. So you also have a family to raise. You don't have time for gym. Talking about average people, right? You don't count calories, you eat whatever, but still you are able to remain fit. And I'm not just talking about Asians. If you look at the French, right? French eat everything in a dictionary.
Yeah, but they hate themselves. I think that's where they burn most of their calories, isn't self-loathing.
I don't know about that. Maybe.
That's a French joke. I think in waving white flags, surrendering to things. Anyway, right. That's a French joke.
And I was wondering whether it's just American or the people in the Western world. So I happened to have this opportunity to work in Italy for half a year. All right, not half a year, 5 months. And I went to study in France for 3 months. So I was observing how people were like there. And those days I was already aware of the calorie thing, right? Because people that I had weight loss and, weight gain journey. So I was in Italy. I was sitting with my friend there and they're eating pizza. So I just tentatively asked them, hey, do you know how many calories are in this one slice of pizza? So I just tentatively, because I'm just curious, do you know or not? Because you seem to be really carefree about it. And it's like, we don't think about calories. What's calories?
Wow.
Calories?
What I that would be?
Well, if you have traveled to different countries or worked and lived there, you see multiple examples, multiple groups of people not caring about this thing, right? But still manage to maintain their fitness. You start wondering who is right and who's wrong, who is the normal, who is the abnormal.
Yeah.
My living experience, the work experience in different countries show me that we don't have to be like this. So there's got to be something within your instinct. Right? So that's the starting point of the reverse engineering. It's a thought process. Starting with the thought process, then experimentation. Because after working with all of these women, I realized that major barriers for a lot of people is that they don't know how to eat without counting. That's purely a mental thing, right? But it's also backed by the realities because they're so misled by the fat diet industry So they really don't know how to eat. Like I see people eating, right, it's true. I see people would eat fried chicken after fried chicken and they say that, oh, because I'm eating less than 1,800 calories per day. So I'm healthy. I'm eating healthy, right? That's just, like it's not true, right? So people have really different understanding about what it means to eat well. And this is a big factor that contributes to their food issue, like relationship with food. One thing, you don't know how to eat. The other thing is that you were taught by the society that if you want to maintain your fitness, you have to do all these diets and all these rules. So it's quite confusing, to be honest. So they don't know how to eat. They don't have knowledge. They also don't have the sense. They don't feel hunger. They don't feel satisfaction. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you find for most people it's their self-limiting beliefs and, of course, that addiction to food and their cravings and stuff?
Self-limiting beliefs is always one thing. And your belief and your reality, they feel each other reciprocally, right? Yeah, your belief is feeling your belief, your reality, and your experience is also feeding into your belief. And sometimes they inherited the belief from their surrounding, from their parents. They grew up seeing their mother or their aunts sometimes their dad as well, struggling with the eating relationship with food. So they get the idea that if I'm not on some restrictive dieting program, I can never get my weight in control. They grow up this kind of belief. So that's a subconscious programming thing, right? Over the years. And naturally your reality is going to fall into that kind of belief. And this is what we do to help people as well. In order to really have a different relationship with food that is based on freedom and confidence, you have to shift your belief. But you cannot tell people to shift the belief just by telling them to do it. The belief is the belief, right? It's not like just like a weed. You can just plug it out. People change belief by changing their their experience first. So this is something I like to do a lot with my clients. When they first come in, they're all nervous because after counting calories or measuring carbs for so many years, all of a sudden they are told to not care about it, not count anything. So they become nervous. I'm going to overeat every meal, right? That's the big fear. And I bet 1 week later, I'm going to gain 3 pounds or 4 pounds. They have this fear in them, which is rooted in the belief that I have to diet in order to keep fit, right? So I tell them this, okay, not only you're not going to count anything, but also you're not going to measure your weight. You're not going to weigh in. And you're not going to weigh in at the beginning. I tell them you're not going to weigh in for the whole journey, which is 3 months.
Wow.
Very scary, right?
Yeah.
But usually this is what I do. Okay. They're coachable. They're good at making the promises of not weighing themselves. But usually after about 3 or 4 weeks, I'll ask them, how do you feel about not weighing yourself? To some people, it was super uncomfortable at the beginning, like when they first join, because they tend to do it every day. But after not doing that, because again, weighing themselves is also another obsession that we have to address, because if you're still addicted to weighing yourself, you're still in this dieter's mentality. And we're going to talk about dieter's mentality later, but it's a dieter's mentality that is driving the dieter's belief, that's driving the dieter's reality. So you have to get rid of that first. That's why I'm telling them, at the beginning, just trust, right? Learn to trust. Trust me, trust your body. And then, since I told them not to weigh themselves for 10 weeks, they'll get very nervous. But in week 4, week 5, I ask them, how do you feel about not weighing yourself? Oh, it's better now. It's anything annoying me anymore, which is good because this is a good psychological milestone, right? But then sometime I would just ask them, do you want to weigh yourself now? You want to weigh yourself now? Do you want to know what's happening to your body? You want to weigh yourself now? And 10 out of 10 will tell me, yes, I'm interested in knowing. Good, just stand on the scale right now. Tell me, report back how you've been doing. Oh my God. 10 seconds later, I remember this lady because it's very impressive. She was almost crying because she couldn't believe that she lost 12 pounds.
Holy crap.
4 weeks without counting anything, just by embracing intuitive eating and freedom. Wow. And she told me this, the scale says I'm 12 pounds down, but before I joined, I weighed myself without wearing any clothes. I was naked on the scale. But now it's winter time and my clothes is probably weigh 2 pounds. So I probably have lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
This is essential for them to see in their own eyes. Now you can see what I mean by in order to change your belief, you have to change your reality first, your experience first.
Yeah.
Now you would believe.
Once you experience that, makes all the difference. So you do several things with people. You, I guess, coach them on a one-on-one basis. Do you do any group coaching? I know you have the mastermind. We should probably mention on the website that's
I mainly
check out.
It's actually mainly group coaching. If you go to
okay,
yeah.
Okay. So you do mainly a group coaching, and then you've got the free master class. People can go to your website and check out to get to know you better. What other services, does that cover the gambit of all the services you have?
If you go to my masterclass, right, it's free masterclass where I show you the 5 most important keys that you will need to embrace when trying to restore your instinct so that your body can lose the weight for you, right? So if you're interested in philosophy, if you think that makes sense, you can book a call with me through the link. You can find that on my website as well in one-on-one, there's a link for one-on-one calls. Booking one-on-one call. And also you can just go to the link that I let you know at the end of the webinar, and you can book a call on there. And we'll see if we're a good fit for each other because, there are some housekeeping items. Before I work with you, I want to make sure that psychologically you're ready to embrace freedom.
Definitely. Do you find it's hard for people to reach that point? They're not quite committed to crossing over to losing weight?
It is scary. It's not about losing. Traditionally, it's sort of losing weight as I just keep counting whatever I'm told to count, right? There is a system I can follow, but basically that counting system, the mechanism is a crutch. But what I'm teaching you here is how to stand on your own.
Does you have something that I noticed on your website that was kind of interesting. You call it the Asian inspired T-cert technique.
It's a little bonus I have for my audience here.
Huh?
People always struggle with sugar.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you have one chocolate, then you can't stop yourself. Right? One will lead to another. The whole bag is gone, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is that it's actually one of the 1,000 years of tradition from Asia, East Asia mainly. So what you do is, like what we do in Asian countries is that we eat a lot of sweets too, right? But we usually have this tradition of pairing it with some natural loose leaf teas. So you have natural herbal tea. Okay. And usually they are either green tea or black tea.
Mm-hmm.
So after you take one bite of the cookie, let's say, you take one sip of the green tea and just wait a second, just let the green tea saturate and cancel out the sweetness in your mouth. And immediately you realize that you don't have the urge to have the next one.
Wow. That's pretty smart.
Well, scientific study nowadays backing it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think a few years ago, I just saw this study on the website of National Institute of Health, where it's talking about how the bitterness can actually cancel out and change your brain's response to sugar. And that's what it is, in tea. Like there is bitterness, slight bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
So that cancels out your cravings for the sweet almost immediately.
Oh.
When Asians, we just like to do it because it feels comfortable, right? It feels balanced. But hey, feeling and sensation of balance actually comes from something deeper.
Really?
Yeah, well, you don't want to be just overly saturated with the feeling of sweetness, right? You want something to pair with it, to balance it out.
Well, it makes sense. It's a natural body's reaction to not get addicted to sweetness and stuff. We have people get hooked on sweetness. My mom is pretty funny. She does a thing she's just kind of a chocolate. She loves chocolate. Yeah. She does a thing where she'll put like sweets in her mouth and then spit them out. Because she realizes that she wants it for the taste, but you don't want it in your body. Yeah. So she'll taste it and then spit it out. And it's always kind of like, Mom, what are you doing? But it's kind of actually, I don't know. That's her version of a strategy, but I like the tea thing a little bit better.
She's getting the flavor, not the calories.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Maybe I should do that with the burgers. It's kind of gross though. You shouldn't do it in public probably, but
right.
spit it back out. Because, that was the thing I did learn when I lost weight. I realized that I was eating certain foods and stuff for the taste. There's a lot of foods in American life, especially fast foods.
Right.
They design in labs to addict us. It's almost like an opioid addiction with the way they design these foods. And they design them so that they have that perfect thing that will set off our dopamine reaction. Our body's going, yeah, that's really good. Get more.
We have multiple science studies nowadays that shows you that stuff like sugar it does have addictive nature. Mm-hmm. It triggers your brain. I was just reading one a few days ago talking about how sugar actually triggers and primes your brain's reaction in terms of its neurotransmitters in a very similar way it does that cocaine does.
Oh, wow.
Yes, even on a similar level. Think about it. But look, yes, food being addictive is one element of it, right? It's a one component of the whole food addiction and the weight loss pattern, the weight pattern thing. But how about you as a person? You actually have the independence from this kind of craving. Like instead of just wanting to have that chocolate, you just don't feel the natural urge of wanting it. So that your coworker will hand you something, you can just elegantly say, no thanks, I don't feel like it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the way to be. I mean, we're supposed to have control over ourselves. And the fact that we can get addicted to stuff is just crazy. Anything more you want to touch on about what you do and how you help clients?
I want to touch on something that's very important to whoever trying to find freedom from this weight pattern and also the eating pattern. No matter what kind of journey you choose to go for, okay? Because there are so many different types of weight loss or eating kind of coaching or products out there, right? So no matter what you choose, you have to have one clarity as to what is going to be the end goal out of it. Because here's the thing. There are mainly two categories here, okay? No matter how many gazillions of brands you can find. One is the category which I call it creating dieters. So basically, it gives you all the rules, dieting rules. Most of them are restrictive rules as well, and you have to follow. And yes, you may see some temporary weight loss results, but over time, what it does is really training your brain, your belief, your relationship with food towards the direction of a dieter. And here's the thing that most people do not know. A dieter and somebody who is holistically healthy and holistically lean and free, they are two different species. Given how differently they think, how differently they eat, and how differently their body functions, and how differently they experience life. And you cannot walk onto one path hoping to get to the other end goal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you have to bear this in mind. If you want to be a holistically lean and healthy person, you got to find a path that leads you there. Right. So pay attention. Give yourself some moment to think about what exactly you want. And before you go into commit to a program or commit to a solution, think about where it is leading. That's the key message here.
Definitely. And reaching the end goals is super important in being able to achieve what you want to take and do. So as we go out, what message, how can people reach out to you, work with you, get to know you better, see if they can work with you on coaching and stuff? How can they do that?
There's plenty of information you can find on my website, which is www.riselean.com. And on the website, you're going to see the details of the lean eating approach, my client's experience. You can also see, get this link to my free masterclass to learn details about the approach. And if you think this is for you, you can get onto the phone with me and I'll have a conversation with you to sit with you to do an assessment into what is your fastest and best route to get to your goal.
There you go. Well, this sounds pretty interesting. I mean, it's eating better, breaking your relationships, breaking your mental habits and relationships you have with food. Food is, you're not supposed to have a relationship with food in my mind. It's something that gives you sustenance and nutrition, but
you brought up a golden point, actually. You brought up a golden point, Chris. Because nowadays, a lot of people like to say, I want to gain mindful eating. And this is what I'm telling them all the time. You don't need mindful eating. You need mindless eating. But you don't count your breath when you're breathing. That's the kind of relationship you should have with food.
That's true. That's true.
But the only difference is that through mindless eating, your past mindless eating is leading you to a lot of weight problems. But you want to learn the kind of mindless eating that is leading you towards health and wellness.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So thank you very much, Leslie, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot today.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's a wonderful time.
There you go. And thanks to Anna for tuning in. Be sure to check out Leslie's program. Go to our website. Also check us out as well. We have some websites. So go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss, and all those places on the internet you can find us. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Be safe, eat well, and we'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out, Leslie.